Young World, LOD321, LOD versus the Internet. First and foremost, let me just say that I have adopted the motto. I actually think I made this motto up because I never heard anybody else say it before I thought about saying it, and I was been saying it, which is, if you aren't awake by now, then you are not supposed to be. But I'm gonna read off to you what Business Insider calls the 15 most powerful members of the secret society Skull and Bones. I'm gonna do more in-depth videos about Skull and Bones and secret societies, and probably do some gematria on some of the names and some of the people, some locations, some of the situations surrounding the just secret societies in general. But I'm gonna just read this list off to you of some of the people who've been part of the group of people who've been running your world for hundreds, at least hundreds of years. Because this is not a conspiracy theory. This is not something somebody made up. This is actual facts. You can research this. This is not a conspiracy theory. Make a long story short, this ain't no bullshit. So if this can open your eyes a little bit, make you at least think like, damn, maybe there is some stuff going on out here in this fucking world we live in. If this don't open your eyes, then you ain't supposed to be motherfucking awake. That's just the bottom line. But just some of the people on here, like Prescott Bush, whose son George H.W. Bush, whose son George W. Bush, presidents of the United States, people that are prominent businessmen, own some of the most prominent and successful businesses and organizations that you ever heard of in your life. Is it really a coincidence that they're all part of this group called Skull and Bones? Not to mention, there was a TV show, still a TV show called Meet the Press, but there was a guy named Tim Russert that used to host the show back when George W. Bush and John Kerry were both running against each other, so-called, for the presidency. I was into this since back then, so I remember watching this live. But he asked both George W. Bush and John Kerry about Skull and Bones.
You were both in Skull and Bones, the secret society. It's so secret we can't talk about it. The conspiracy theorists are going to go on. I'm sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the red. Number 322. Both were members of Skull and Bones, a secret society at Yale. What does that tell us? Not much, because it's a secret.
I'm going to just read off to you what Business Insider calls the 15 most powerful members of Skull and Bones. And the order it goes in is from graduation. It's not in no particular order except for who graduated the first to last. So I'm going to just read off the names and show you a picture of them. Maybe talk a little bit about some of them, like some of the people that you definitely know. But first, we have William Howard Taft, class of 1878, whose father and one-time Attorney General Alphonso Taft co-founded Skull and Bones as a Yale student in 1832. Next, we have Amos Alonzo Stagg, class of 1888. He was Yale's greatest football player of all time, practically invented the modern game, and is still the only man to be elected into the Pro Football and Pro Basketball Hall of Fame. What a coincidence. Next, you have William Averill Harriman, class of 1913. I'm sure you heard of the Harriman family. Next, we have Archibald MacLeish, class of 1915. I never heard of him. Next, we have Prescott Bush, class of 1916. That's President George W. Bush's grandfather, President George H.W. Bush's father. The person who also worked with the Nazis and Hitler in Operation Paperclip and funded the Nazi scientists to come to America under false names and false identities to use their technology and everything that they had piled up from after the war, so they didn't get killed or have to go to jail for war crimes. That's why nowadays you hear, like, every now and then you'll see on the news like a Nazi was found or something like that, arrested. That's what they're talking about. These Nazis, they'd be like 70, 80, 90, 100 years old. These are still the same people that Prescott Bush funded to come over to America from Operation Paperclip back in the 40s or 50s and stuff like that. Next, you have Robert Lovett, class of 1918. He's Harry Truman's Secretary of War and the man who many have called the architect of the Cold War. Next, you have Henry Luce, class of 1920. Next, we have Potter Stewart, class of 1936. Next, we have McGeorge Bundy, class of 1940. Next, we have George Herbert Walker Bush, class of 1948. Next, we have William F. Buckley Jr., class of 1950. Then we have John F. Kerry, class of 1966, followed by George W. Bush, class of 1968. And these are the two that were supposedly on opposite sides of the presidential election. And what year is that? I can't think of the year off the top of my head. Probably was 2004 or 2000 or something like that. One of them years, you can look it up. I can't remember exactly, but just amazing. How are these two people from the same secret society end up being opposite candidates on one Republican, one Democrat? That just shows you how much of a joke this whole entire system is. They're both from secret society, Skull and Bones, Yale University, and they just so happen to be the only two choices you have to pick from in a presidential election. See what I'm saying? Like, it just don't make no sense. Then you have Stephen A. Schwartzman, class of 1969. And last we got Austin Goolsbee, class of 1991. Goolsbee represents the newest generation of bonesmen on the list. Unbelievable. That's just a couple people. Like I said, I'm gonna do more videos, more in depth about more stuff, but just the fact that you got a father and son president whose grandfather also is part of this whole organization. Then you have John Kerry, who is a presidential candidate against another fellow Skull member. It's just crazy, man. And these are facts. This ain't no conspiracy stuff. This is real, actual facts. You know what I mean? These are facts. But I'm gonna leave that one there. I'm gonna do some more about it. Just wanted to open a couple people's eyes about Skull and Bones in case you didn't know. But I'm gonna leave that there for now.